Hello everyone, and thanks for joining me today. My name is Sarah Nielsen and I am a designer here at Showplace Cabinetry, which is this beautiful showroom behind me right now. So today we are going to talk about aging in place for any age, because it's not just talking about ADA compliance and if you're in a wheelchair or a walker. It's definitely things you can do in any type of remodel to really plan for the future and any unknowns that might happen. So we're going to kind of talk a little bit about some kind of lower budget things that you can do even if you're not doing a remodel. So things like LED lights. Light bulbs that are LEDs can last up to 60,000 hours, which is about 7 years, depending on how long you have them on in a day. So imagine being able to keep those in there and not have to change them all the time. They are not hot to the touch, so children or elderly or anybody trying to, anywhere around them aren't going to get burned by them. They can be kind of a higher initial cost just because they do cost just a little bit more than your standard ones do. But in the overall, from your energy saving to not having to replace them all the time, is really where that cost savings is going to come in an overall standpoint. Doorways. So if you are doing a remodel and you can open up your doorways. So ADA compliant is a minimum of 32 inches. So that's so that any wheelchair going through or a walker going through has that room. So that 32 inches is also that opening. So not including your jamb, it has that straight opening going through. I always recommend at least 36 inches if you can, just because that gives you a little bit more extra space to kind of anything that were to happen, anything you're bringing through is really gonna open up into that. Some things you can do with kind of like your outlets. So your outlets that you put kind of towards the floor as a receptacle, you can bring those up just a little bit farther so that they're a little easier to get to. They're not quite as far down if you can't bend it quite as far down. If you are in a wheelchair and can't get down to the floor, bring those up just a little bit in terms of that. Pocket doors are a great thing to use, especially if you're thinking about aging in place. So I know not everybody loves pocket doors. They're not always my favorite, but if you think of a swing door to a pocket door is out of the way. So you never have to worry about it protruding into your space or moving or hitting you, anything like that. So when you do have a swing door, those can potentially be in the way. So if you do have any time that you're in a wheelchair or a walker or kids or anything that might happen, it's less of a tripping hazard, and then it stays out of the way if you're trying to go through that doorway. So here's some examples for kind of like your cabinet hardware that can help you when you're designing for this aging in place. Everybody has kind of these small little knobs that are always on all of your cabinet doors. Those are very hard to grip if you have anything wrong with your hand. That doesn't necessarily mean that you're elderly, but if you break your knuckles or break a finger and you just have troubles with that gripping, if you have arthritis, anything like that, it's hard to grab a knob. So different options that you can do with that. They have larger knobs like this one here. They're a lot bigger in form. You can get just a finger underneath them to open that up. Anything like a T-knob, so something kind of like this, that again, you can get a finger or a thumb, something that's similar to open those up. The best ones, honestly, that I recommend to everybody are gonna be handles. Do a handle everywhere. These are really great on your wall cabinets or anything because you can get a finger, you can get a thumb, if you've got a whole hand to pull in there. If it's down like this on a drawer, you can get your foot underneath there, at least to catch it, to pull it open if you need to. So these are just a lot nicer to be able to get open at any age. So if you think of, if you're younger and you're thinking, okay, well, I really don't need to worry about designing for aging because I might not be here. Think about kids. If you have young kids, these are a lot better and easier to open than that little knob is going to be. It's not about being elderly or older or having a disability. It's about the unknowns of what life could bring. You have no idea what that's going to happen, and you might as well be prepared for it in a way that's going to function for you. So another easy thing is all of your interior doors, exterior doors. Changing them out to a lever handle instead of an actual kind of knob handle is going to help you with that access. Again, you can get an elbow if your hands are full, or if you have troubles with your hands. You can use other body parts to be able to hit that and open it rather than a circular knob, which we all know if you have children are very hard to open. So again, like I was kind of talking about with the pocket doors. Pocket doors are really nice for aging in place just because they're out of the way. There's no protrusions, It's not a swing door that's gonna have any complications or anything for you. For receptacles, like this floor receptacle, typically they're about 12 to 18 inches off the floor. You can bring that up just a little bit and still make that so that it's low enough for all your floor stuff. But if you raise that just to even to the higher height of the 18 inches, is going to help in the long run, just in case something happens and you can't bend, you have a back problem or knee issues, or heaven forbid something happens and somebody ends up in a wheelchair. Those types of things are all situations that are easy to do. They don't mess with the design at all. They all still look great, and they don't look like they're ADA compliant. Okay, so we're gonna talk a little bit about, if you're doing a remodel, different functionality parts of it that can help with this aging in place, just things to open up and do all that kind of stuff. So this is a kitchen I did a couple years ago. So you can kind of see in these before pictures, very closed off, U-shaped kitchen, had a separate dining room in here, walls, it was hard to get anywhere. They had a dining room table in here as well. So so it was just getting that space to kind of really open up and work for them well. So what we did is we ripped out that dividing wall, opened it up completely into, so it's pretty much one big room. And you can kind of see where they've got a living room and a fireplace there as well. So it really helped. They've got a bigger family, some grandkids. They really wanted a space that everybody could gather in and be okay. So biggest thing about it is opening that space up for easy access. Multiple people could be in that kitchen and not run into each other. So giving that a bigger space, getting your appliances to more accessible areas so that you're not running into another person or having issues with a couple cabinets being in the way or anything like your walkway being too busy for those work areas. Another thing that we did for this client specifically, she loves to bake. She is an avid baker. So what we did is we took the island, made a huge island, and everything she needs to bake is right here in this one spot. So everything she needs we did drawers for all her mixing bowls and spatulas and everything. She's got some other drawers that she put all of her cookie sheets and her spoons. All of the things that she needs to bake is all in one location, so that it's not a lot of going from one surface to another surface to here to over there across the kitchen. It's all in one space with a huge countertop so that she doesn't have to move a lot. And with all of that being underneath the countertop, it's a lot easier to grab and pull up if you have something heavy than it's going to be for grabbing here and coming down. And then not having anything above it, since it is the island, now you don't have any wall cabinets to worry about, windows or anything like that. There's no obstructions for her to be working in this at all. So another easy way to add in some aging in place ideas is going to be different levels of countertop. Different work areas at different heights is what's really going to help in there. So there's a lot of different ways you can do that. The raised bar top tends to be a little bit more traditional style. Not everybody loves it. A lot of people are going back to just a single top just because it's more open and it's a lot cleaner. However, if you do think about aging in place, having multiple areas that have different heights gives you a lot more availability to be able to move from place to place without having to go from an extreme to an extreme. So if you're going something really high, bringing it all the way down, you have a little bit of a step down for all those areas. Something like this over here is a little more modern. Really all they did, it's not a huge difference between the two, but they just took that waterfall edge, just gives a little extra height to it. So if you are prepping, say you have shoulder issues or you don't want to have shoulder issues down the road, having a little bit higher height on that when you're prepping or cutting or anything is going to help in that. So it's just another area that it doesn't look, you wouldn't look at this and say, oh yeah, somebody in there has a disability. You're gonna look at that and go, oh, that's a really neat idea because it gives some dimension to the kitchen. The design still looks great. It still looks super modern and contemporary in there. But it's just that those thought processes of, oh, well, having a prep area that's a little higher might be really nice for me because I have some issues with my back or my shoulders or anything like that. Coming down here, where they took it to a lower height so that they had a table off of the island. Again, you can do something like this and have a table off there. Most people don't have a space this big to create a space like that, but you could have just a small section on the end of the island that might be a little lower. I've had clients that have put, that's where they put a prep sink, just because it's nice to be a little bit lower on that side. Or if you have kids or elderly parents or anybody that might need something that's a little bit lower,